Well, here's the early morning Rockhampton skyline where we stayed again last night. We liked it so much we stayed at Rocky on the way down as well as on the way up. It's a beautiful city with lovely done up historical buildings along the river, lots of pubs, restaurants, and a great kind of country town feel, wandering around at night, walking. Really enjoyed staying here. So on the road again today, should be in Brisbane and Gold Coast. We just pulled up in Miriam Vale to charge up again. First recharge for the morning after Rockhampton, and we've pulled up to have a crab sandwich. Apparently they're legendary in Miriam Vale for all travellers.
We're back on the road. We've just had crab sandwiches at Miriam Vale, and DB is now driving. And what are we going to talk about? Self-driving. And what does DB think about this? What say you, DB?
I say self-driving is the go.
Is the go.
It's the way to go. Yesterday we did about a 2.5 hour stretch between Mackay and Rockhampton, which is just nothing for 2-3 hours, and it's where everyone falls asleep and crashes, whereas we fell asleep and didn't crash.
Do you want to show your patented grip?
Yeah, so one gripe some of our drivers have had on this trip is the constant warning to prove that you're still awake. And it requires just a little bit of tension on the wheel so that it knows something's touching it. And it was kind of getting pretty regular and pretty annoying, but I've patented this new armrest approach where it just naturally has the weight of your forearm tugging on the wheel the whole time, and it's pretty much eliminated all warnings.
Great. And you got any things you want to tell Elon about?
No, I think keep it up. It's good. It's better than it was when I was first in a Tesla, so each revision it just seems to get better. There's a lot less ping-ponging between lanes. It's a little bit scary on the sweeping left turns when there's a massive semi-trailer coming in the other direction. It looks like it's going to aim for the semi-trailer, but once you relax and go with it, it just eventually starts to turn and misses the semi-trailer by millimetres.
Yeah. That's one thing that I found a little disconcerting. It seems to me that if it's a left turn, left curve, it should react a little more quickly to the closeness of the centre line.
Yeah, the other thing I've noticed is that if a car's overtaking us, it'll probably unrelated to the overtaking, but just by bad luck, is just as the car gets close to us, it sometimes moves towards the centre line again, which is a little bit rude. Must seem a bit rude to the person overtaking, so that's where I sometimes take over.
Yeah, one of my beefs is that you're always asked to have your hands on the wheel, and I find the little micro adjustments that go on as you're driving along to be a little unnerving. And what we've got here, we've got an overtaking lane coming up, and we're going to do a hands-off switch back at the end of the overtaking lane. Now it's detected the overtaking lane and kept us on the left-hand side, so that's all pretty good. But when the lane ends, you have this interesting little occurrence.
So you can get my hands in. Well, so I'm going to keep them lightly on the wheel just to be legal. And the lane's going to end in 500 metres. And it'll do this kind
asking
of...
for force on the steering wheel.
It'll do this little flip. It's kind of a binary flip at the end when it finally decides. And we can get the screen in as well.
I've got your hands on the screen.
Here comes the end of the lane, and it's going to wait until it absolutely has to, and then go... Woo!
You know, that bad as we've had it.
I think it's learning.
Yeah.
So I love it. Much safer.
Okay, so another interesting screen is the energy efficiency screen, and this one's showing us the last 50 kilometres, how efficiently we've been driving. It's saying that the average energy use has been 153 watt hours per kilometre, which is roughly 7 point something kilometres per kilowatt hour of charge. So that's, I think, long-term average. We've seen kind of those sort of figures. Well, here we are at Childers, next stop Cooroy, and then Brisbane. So we had our first little charging scare today. We turned up at this charger and there was a Nissan Leaf there, which was exciting to see. It was using the other Chatamo style connector. And so we plugged in our CCS2 connector and it wouldn't work. So we rang support and they said, oh yeah, there's a maintenance issue. And we thought, uh-oh, we're in trouble. But we rang back a little bit later and support confirmed that only one charging port on the charger can work at a time. So once the Leaf left, it was all good and we were back to charging at high speed. Only probably lost about 10-15 minutes for that little scare, but we'll be heading off shortly. So we've travelled over 4,000 kilometres, Gold Coast to Cairns, Cairns back to Brisbane, spent the night in Brisbane, and next morning, final leg to the Gold Coast. They've picked up a screw from some tradie who's been a bit untidy and thrown stuff around. What a shame. Anyway, that's the fun of owning a car. This is the Tesla with the wheel off. I'm going to catch a glimpse of the electric motor under there by the look of it. But you can see all the YouTube videos. There's a whole heap of YouTube videos of people taking them apart. Well, finally arrived at Balinga outside the Gold Coast Airport. Gold Coast to Cairns and back all the way to Balinga. Up to Cairns in 2 days from the Gold Coast and 3 days and a little bit to come back to the Gold Coast from Cairns. So there we go. There's a couple of electric vehicles being charged here, a bike. That could be a prop actually. But anyway, here we are, and we'll have a bit of a break now for a week or so before continuing the road trip south to all the way to Melbourne. So stay tuned.